surprising result in those experiments was that objective metrics were practically useless. In the GENEA Challenge 2022, we calculated both objective and subjective metrics, and then we correlated the two, and we found that most of the objective metrics used today have very weak correlation with subjective perception. Hello, my name is Taras Kucherenko. I'm a research engineer at SEED, and I'm doing research on machine learning for character animation. When we speak, we often gesture to accompany our speech, as I'm doing right now. Those gestures are an important part of our communication. Digital humans talking to us also need to gesture, but how to generate those gestures? This is a central question in gesture generation. And the problem in the field is in the benchmarking, in how people compare with each other. Often different groups use different metrics, or they might use the same metric but compute it different ways. And that leads to a situation where we don't know where we stand in the field and where should we go. The GENEA Challenge was created to standardize evaluation in the field and to enable proper benchmarking. To do that, we provide challenge participants with the same dataset, the same baseline, and the same evaluations. And in this way, when we conduct our large subjective evaluation, we can arrive at a good, proper benchmarking. So a common example of an objective metric would be a distance to the ground truth, where gesture sequence that is predicted by the model is compared to the gesture sequence in the dataset, and we calculate the Euclidean distance between the two. The typical subjective metric would be how human-like is emotion perceived, and this one is usually calculated by a user study. Another example of a subjective metric is appropriateness to speech. And again, this is usually calculated using a user study, asking a number of participants to choose between two videos which one is more appropriate for the given speech. Benchmarking culture in the field has been weak because proper evaluation takes a lot of time and effort, and there was not much resources available to make it easier. Researchers often work under publishing pressure, and they tend to cut corners. And evaluation, unfortunately, have been one of those corners often cut. The surprising result in those experiments was that objective metrics were practically useless. In the GENEA Challenge 2022, we calculated both objective and subjective metrics, and then we correlated the two, and we found that most of the objective metrics used today have very weak correlation with subjective perception. Our results mean that today subjective evaluation is the only meaningful evaluation. It does not mean that nobody should do objective evaluation anymore. No. It means that doing only objective evaluation is not enough, and people need to also do the subjective evaluation. And it also means that more research is necessary to find new objective metrics which are maybe better correlated with the subjective perception.